What is up? Good morning, Overcome Army. It is Monday. It is Monday Muster. That's right. We are all here. We are ready to go. Why? Because Monday is that first day. It doesn't matter how bad the week before was. It doesn't matter what train wrecks, how far off course. It doesn't matter if you're like, oh my God, I'm so far off course. I don't even know where the course is. My compass is broken and my map got burned to the ground. It doesn't matter because guess what? There are new maps. There are all kinds of different strategies we can use to navigate and to get ourselves back on course. And that is what this life is about. It is about understanding we have a destination. It's where do we want to go? It's being content with where we are along the journey. It's navigating all the dangers that are out there. And there's so many, man. I mean, 2020, oh my God, we've been getting pummeled with all the different dangers, everything from the stress and the anxiety of the pandemic and working from home, and then the stress and the anxiety of all the civil unrest. And there's just been 2020 has been a crazy year. It's definitely been a year where it takes discipline, it takes effort, and it takes proper planning and like I said, the discipline to stay on course to make sure, hey, we're still taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally. And in these trying times, that is one of the biggest things that you've got to focus on. So this Monday muster, I tell you though, what I want to talk to you about is something I feel like oftentimes gets a little overlooked. And I don't feel like enough people do it. And this weekend, I ended up doing probably more than I normally do. So I came up against some challenges in our new business, and I needed to take a step back. And this falls into the area of the Pentagon of Peak Performance mental leadership. And actually, I think I should probably write up some more on it within as I update the Point Man Planner. But the area is, you ready for this? Deep thinking. That's right, guys. It is critically important to take the time to think through problems. And I know a lot of people who are high speed movers, high speed, low drag. They want to be constantly on the go. I know individuals who, and I'm guilty too. I am definitely guilty that sometimes it's easier for me to keep going. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of people after my injuries who, saw me start to pick up speed. I immediately tried to go back to work. I immediately tried to jump into rehab and all these different things. I had a lot of people that were like, hey man, you're going to crash and burn. But to take that time as we're growing and as we're dealing with problems to think through them, to really deeply think through them. When we face these challenges, to get into the weeds, to truly understand what are the issues, what are the potential solutions. I mean, it is a little bit of, you may not be on the X with your problem, you may be on the X with the problem. So it really is getting into it and analyzing through that, whether you use the React methodology or I sometimes like to use pros and cons sheets. I'll write down what are the pros of making this decision, what are the cons of making this decision, what are the pros of going in this direction, what are the cons of going in this direction. And I think for so many of us in life, there's so many distractions, and when we face a big problem that we are trying to solve, it's good to take that time to do that deep thinking. And so many of us, we just don't take that time. And for some of us, we find different ways to get into that time. And maybe it's like this weekend I did yard work. I enjoy that. It also gives me some time to think. I also like driving. I don't mind long road trips, especially I'll be honest, if I'm driving by myself, that gives me time to think, to dig into problems. I had a great former leader. I've talked to him dozens of times, Vince Peterson. And Vince Peterson used to say, never make a decision until you have to. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, what? That flies in the face of being decisive. Well, it really doesn't, because never make a decision until you have to. You might have to make a decision in a couple of seconds. I mean, there could be a massive crisis, emergency, whether it's a, firefight, people are shooting at you, or whether it is a business crisis, or maybe it's a family crisis, maybe it is a physical emergency. Somebody's been injured and you're having to react, and that decision has to be made quickly. But most decisions are not that way. Most decisions you have time. We apply a sense of urgency to things that oftentimes doesn't have to be there. It's urgent because it's a problem, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be solved right in that second. And this is where, Vince used to say, hey, if you've got a big problem, but you've got 2 days to solve it, or you let people know I'm going to make my decision in 2 days or 2 hours or 2 weeks, whatever it is, you get into that deep thinking and you think through, you talk to other subject matter experts and friends, team members, business colleagues, whatever it is, you gather that intel so that you can make the best decision you can. And you're never going to have all that information. That's why deep thinking is so critical, really to peel back the onion and think through the problem. How is it impacting you? How is it impacting others? And what is the best decision you can make driving forward? That enables us to stay on course. That enables us to make those right decisions as we're confronting challenges along that course. So anyways, guys, that is the message for this Monday. Some of you out there may be wrestling with problems, all of us have problems. Heck, to be human is to struggle. It is to have problems. But make sure you're not just blowing through them or ignoring them, or, God forbid, if you got a big problem, you're on the X. Now we get into that react methodology. So applying the react methodology, or maybe you're just not on the X. Maybe it's just it's an issue. It's something you're dealing with, work, physical, family, communication, whatever those issues are. Take that time to do that deep thinking. So I can tell you it makes a difference. I know for me, jotting down those notes really to unravel what is happening, what are truly the base of the problem, I think is a critical thing. So that is this Monday Muster. I want you guys to get out there, think through those problems, man. Don't blast through them so fast, gather that information where you can. Colin Powell used to say that, when you're making a decision, have at least 30%, and usually you're not going to have more than 70%. By the time you get to that amount of information, it is gone too far along. So anyway, set a time, and like I said, oftentimes circumstances dictate, when you've got to make that decision, but more often than not, more often than not, you're ultimately going to have to make that decision. So gather that information, do that deep thinking, and make that decision. All right, guys, get out there, crush this week. Man, fire each other up, man. Spread some positivity. God knows we need it in this day and life. So that is Monday Muster, and I am out.